Hey everyone, Leticia here. Hope you are having a wonderful week. I can't believe it's already Friday. Time is just flying, and we're already like, oh my god, past the middle of January. Um, anyway, my friends, as I had announced a little earlier, I am doing today, what I'm going to be doing today is speaking to you about the rental market in Playa del Carmen. I know many of you, before you decide to buy in Playa, you either come here as a short term visitor, as a tourist, or perhaps you may want to try a medium term rental. And we've certainly had a big mix of both short term, medium term, and long term rentals. Playa del Carmen has become, well, it's been a very popular destination even before, but even more so since, in the past 2 years or so. We're moving on to 3 years since, what happened, okay? So now that being said, many people, when they consider coming to Playa del Carmen, they think they're going to be paying, very low rents because they think, it's Mexico. It must be cheaper than Canada, the US, and so on. So I'm here to give you a realistic idea of what you can expect to pay in rent. I'm not going to be addressing nightly rentals in my presentation. I'm going to be discussing primarily either month to month or long term rentals. Okay. For those of you who are coming here and planning on doing the digital nomad thing. Okay. So without further ado, I will get into my content. Okay. Now, in my previous presentations where I discussed about the real estate market here, I told you how in Playa we have a big distinction between the rentals that are on the beach side of the Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum highway, which is this yellow line you see here, and the rentals that are, on the non-beach side of the highway. So primarily, the most desirable area for people who are new to Playa and want to feel the Playa vibe is this central Playa Central area. And I could zoom in further, but I don't think I'm able to do it the way I'm sharing here. But essentially, this central area is a very walkable, very desirable part of Playa because you are within a few blocks of the beach. You can walk everywhere. You don't need to have a rental car. Um, and so it's the most premier area of Playa del Carmen, which is where most travelers would prefer to live. Okay, now there's an exception to that. People that are coming here with a larger family, or people who prefer to be in a private residential area, they're definitely going to be looking on this side of the highway. So let's just go into a few more details. In addition to the distinction between those two areas, we do have some seasonality to the Playa del Carmen rental market. So obviously, we are in a beach town. The weather and the beach is what sells the most here, in addition to the freedom. Hey, hey, hey. There's a reason I live here these days, okay, my friends. But in any case, I want to give you guys an idea so you are not too surprised when you come here. If you are wanting to come here, which is in our busiest time of the year, which is mid-December to the first week of January. That is the busiest time because it's the traditional holiday season, not just in Canada, the US, but for Mexicans as well. So we have a lot of internal travel from the large cities in Mexico, Mexico City, Guadalajara, Monterrey, and many other cities. Playa del Carmen is a popular internal tourism destination as well. So absolutely, the rentals during that period are going to be priced at the highest price. Okay. In addition to that, the whole winter season is also considered high season. So pretty much starting in November, I was already seeing prices rising starting in November to middle to end of April. That's considered our high season. So if you're looking for a deal on rentals and you're arriving here in December, please have some realistic expectations, and I'm going to give you an idea of what those expectations are going to be. If you are looking for a deal, you are ideally looking for a long-term rental, maybe a 1-year lease. The best time to be shopping for that is the season between middle to end of April, May to October. And definitely if you arrive here in June, July, that is the lowest season here. That's when the weather tends to get really hot and sweaty here. And even our lovely digital nomads sometimes prefer to go to a different part of Mexico during that time because it's less hot and sweaty. Okay, and not to mention that the weather is nice in places like Canada in the summertime, as well as Western Europe, which those are also locations that. Yeah, so for that reason, that's that's why our summer months are traditionally our lower season. And hi to those of you who are watching live. I do help people with rentals in Playa del Carmen as well as purchases. Today's webinar is obviously about the rental market. Okay, now let's talk about what you can expect to pay on the beach side of the highway. So in the high season, which is now, my friends, we are now mid-January. Um, Even a studio. Hey there. Somebody says hi. Tony says hi. Hi, Tony. So even studios, my friends, you can expect to pay about 20,000 pesos per month. And if you specifically are looking for the months of December, January, you can expect to pay 2,500 pesos a month. For the longest time, the peso was being equivalated to about uh, 20 pesos. It was, hey, Jason says hi. The peso traditionally was 20 pesos to an American dollar. So based on that calculation, but right now we're looking closer to 19 pesos for US dollars. So you're looking, so traditionally you're looking at about 1,000 to 1,250 US dollars for a modern studios. Now, unfortunately, I don't have time to show you guys um, to show you some images. But when I say modern studios, these are buildings that are going to have beautiful amenities. You're going to have a rooftop pool. You may or may not have a gym. Typically, if the building has, the more amenities the building has, the higher you can expect to pay. So for example, in the Menese condo buildings, which are considered the most luxurious studios, you can expect to pay 25,000 a month in high season for those studios. Other studios that are still modern, marble floors, rooftop pools, but maybe not the highest level of luxury. Again, 20,000 pesos. So if you divide that by 19, you're looking at about, again, $1,050. So again, close to 1,000 or just upwards of 1,000 pesos per month. If you are looking, and so let's go to now in the low season, those same studios are going to run for 15 to 18,000 pesos. So let's say average that to 16,000 divided by 19, you're looking at about 850 US dollars per month average for similar type of studios. Again, if you're looking for the Menese type studios, most luxurious, you can expect to pay, again, probably closer to 20, 22, 23,000 pesos for those, even in low season. um, Now a lot of clients come and say, well, I don't want to live in a studio, I need a one bedroom. First of all, I need to make you aware that in this downtown walkable part of Playa, there is, in my opinion, a shortage of one bedroom units. A lot of the developers here, the older time developers, build a lot of two bedroom units, and then the newest buildings consist of a lot of studios, which are great for very short term stays. If you're only staying for 2 weeks to a month, so very vacational type rentals, Airbnb type rentals, that's great. Now, if you're a digital nomad coming here thinking of spending 3 to 5 months, you may find the studio kind of a little too constrictive, although, buildings like the Menese buildings, for example, they did start upping the square footage of their studios because they are noticing this new trend, the digital nomads that are coming and staying 3 to 5 months and longer. So they need a bit more of a livable space, not just like a hotel room alternative. Okay. That being said, a lot of renters still prefer to have a full-on one-bedroom unit that has that separation. Somebody's asking if are there studios with office areas. So Tony, what I would say is there are increasing numbers of buildings that are putting in co-working type spaces. So you're going to have kind of a business room in the common areas of the building. And increasingly, owners are putting in at least desks in the studios. It wasn't traditionally the case, but since the whole work from home digital nomad phenomenon it's becoming much more common. Increasingly, either the developers who are selling the studios are putting them in as part of the furniture that comes in the studio, or owners are putting in desks and workspaces in studios. Okay, but it's not necessarily the case. That being said, I would say, my friends, especially if you're shopping in high season, obviously you need space to work from. If the studio you're looking for doesn't have it, it's very inexpensive to buy a desk. Like my mom got one on one of the. You're welcome, Tony. Tony says thanks. Um, my mom got one for 400 pesos, like $20 to $50. You can buy a desk here, no problemo. Secondhand, there's always an in and out of a flow of people coming to Playa. Okay, So now speaking about the one bedrooms, because some of you are going to say, no, no, I definitely need a one bedroom. First of all, like I said, there isn't going to be as much inventory, especially when you're coming here in high season. Don't be surprised if you're going to be asked to pay, 1,500 or even 1,700 USD per month for one bedrooms in modern buildings with nice amenities like pools, gyms. More basic, and I'll go on to the next slide and explain that to you. Uh, More, in the low season, there is a softening. So you're going to see one bedrooms between 1,250 to 1,500 roughly USD per month. Again, these are not prices. When people think of Mexico, I'm sure they weren't thinking these prices. Joking, 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 right? But one thing to keep in mind is that, this location, Playa del Carmen, like I said, not only is it, uh, you know, popular as a tourism travel destination. Literally in 2020, it overtook Paris as the number one travel destination in the world, according to one of my colleagues that works with one of the top developers, and they keep track of these things. This was according to an international travel magazine where they advertise, so they know what the statistics are. So Playa del Carmen, literally, in the past couple of years, became one of the top travel destinations in the world. So this is not just any other town out there. So the rents are going to reflect that. There is a huge amount of people that are either relocating here or coming here on a part-time basis. Okay. With that said, again, let's talk about. So even if you're coming here in high season, you should be able to get a better deal on a rental if you can commit to a 6 month lease. So leases of 6 months to a year. Some owners want to have the certainty of that, and they will be more willing to negotiate, especially if you're in a position to sign a 1 year lease. Now, a lot of travelers to Playa, unless you already have your residency, if you come here on a tourist visa from places like Canada, the US, most Western European countries, you're going to be granted, most people get granted a 180-day visa. So for that reason, a lot of, the digital nomads don't feel comfortable signing a 1 year lease. But, even on a 6 month lease, you should be able to get a better deal than if you're just coming in and saying, oh, I'm only wanting to rent for a month or two. Okay. Month to month rentals are considered vacational rentals. You're always going to be paying a bit more. So again, in low season, there is an adjustment in price. Now, a lot of people will come here. People do still come here on a budget, and I don't blame you. Of course, you come to Mexico, you expect to pay less than what you're paying back home. I get that. So people will ask me, can I get anything for 10,000 pesos a month, which is like 500 US or 600 USD per month, or even less. People will come with even lower budgets than that. And the answer is, if you are willing to settle for very basic type accommodations, yes, you can definitely find. And in fact, in that price point, 14,000 pesos, so it's about 700 USD per month, you can find some comfortable studios that are, I know of a couple of buildings that are reliable, clean, well maintained, good Wi-Fi, but they're not going to be luxury studios. They're not going to be rooftop pools and marble floors. No, it's going to be comfortable but not luxury. Okay. And again, there is some amount of inventory in Playa for older style one bedroom units, more colonial or Mexican style one bedroom units, which depending on the season, if you're lucky, you can find them for under $1,000 per month. I'm just warning you that there's not a lot of inventory of those units, so you're really gonna have to shop if you're looking for that. Again, I should have made the font here a bit higher. Okay, let's talk about two bedroom units. Again, my friends, if you're coming here maybe with a partner, with a family, and you're wanting to live in this walkable, desirable part of Playa in the high season months, don't be surprised that rents are going to be 2,000, 2,500 USD per month for modern two bedroom units. At 2,500 USD is more for month to month type rentals in the high season. Even in high season, yes, I do. Yes, I will provide my contact info on the last slide, Tony. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. Thank you. I will. I do help people with both rentals and purchases in Playa del Carmen. Purchases, I also help people in the satellite cities, well, places like Tulum, Puerto Aventuras, Puerto Morelos. Rentals, I only do in Playa, okay? So once again, when it comes to two bedroom apartments, again, if you're able to commit to a 6 month lease or longer, you may be able to find some owners that are willing to do 40,000, so roughly 2,000 to 2,200 US dollars per month. And again, this would be in very desirable buildings that have beautiful amenities, rooftop pools, gyms, gorgeous common areas. Like this would be absolutely beautiful rentals. And that is a lot of the rental stock that is available. And again, I'm going to talk about, there are older style two bedrooms. We'll talk about that. If you do come here in the low season and you're looking and you are shopping for a long-term rental, yes, you can still find two bedrooms in beautiful modern buildings for about 1,500 US a month. Sometimes, if you're lucky, even less than that. If you come here in June, which is like our lowest month of the year, and you come across an owner that would rather have a tenant in there versus a vacancy, you I've seen in the summer months even as low as 26,000 pesos, so 1,300. And again, if you're lucky enough to lock into a 1-year lease, amazing. Now, some owners are smart. They'll say, listen, you know what? Now we're in low season. I'm willing to do this much of a rent. Um, I would encourage you to check out my previous last week's webinar where I talked about the rental process in Mexico in general, how you go about reserving, how you go about making sure that you're dealing with a legitimate owner or a realtor, what have you. Okay. So I won't go into those details. I'm gonna put a link in the comments to last week's webinar where I addressed those things. Um, when it comes to, again, modern two-bedroom units in the low season, again, if you're lucky you can get some deals in the low season. But if it's a very desirable building, like in Playa we have buildings like Ipana, Lunada, over there it's going to be very rare that you find something for less than 1750 a month, US dollars. Okay. Now in this walkable part of Playa, the most desirable part of Playa, the walkable part of Playa, we do have older style two bedrooms that you can still find, from 20 to 24,000 pesos a month, maybe 26 if they're nicer. And we do have an inventory of those units. Again, in the winter time, they tend to get booked first because a lot of people come here, thinking that rents in Mexico are going to be cheap. And in the summertime, again, you're going to have more chances of finding some of those deals. And again, you can expect, if you're okay to live in a more colonial style unit, that's where you can expect to find those types of rates. So again, on the very low end, 1,000, 1,200, 1,300 US dollars a month for a more Mexican style or a colonial style unit. Okay. Next, my friends. Now, on the beach side of Playa, if you're coming here with a family or you're coming with a bunch of friends and you want to say, oh, well, we want to share a 3-bedroom, I have to make you aware there are very few 3-bedroom options in this walkable part of Playa. Usually, you're looking at penthouse units, and those are the rents that I'm putting right there. So for penthouse units, 3 bedrooms, you're looking at about 4,000 US a month in high season, even more sometimes, depend if it's an ocean view penthouse, 5,000 or more. In if it's literally ocean front. In Playa Car, which is a premier, more residential style neighborhood, I've had many videos in which I explained about Playa Car. Playa Car is it's an exclusive residential neighborhood. It is attached to it is adjacent to the walkable part of Playa, but it is very residential. That's where you get more homes, and that's where you can get some of these larger units that are more, either family friendly, you could say, or just larger 3 bedrooms, whether homes or condos. The condos that are 3-bedroom condos in Playa Car, they're not inexpensive. Oh, she's so sweet. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate the love. Beautiful. Yeah, if you are shopping for a rental, is even and Playa Car is a very desirable neighborhood, and in the high season we do have families that vacation here, and they are booking those 3-bedroom homes rapidly. And I currently have clients that are willing to pay 3,000 US per month to be in a 3-bedroom home, and there's almost no inventory in that price range. So if you have a 3,000 US a month budget in high season and wanting a house in Playa Car or even a 3-bedroom condo, but especially a house, you may need to up your budget if you come here in high season. 3-bedroom, even older style homes in Playa Car in high season, you're looking at 4,000 US a month. I'm giving it to you how it is. I'm sorry if this is not what you wanted to hear, but I need to give you realistic expectations again. And now going back to the low season, if you are specifically wanting to live in the Playa Car neighborhood, which is one of the few residential neighborhoods on this side of the highway that has 3-bedroom homes and standalone homes, if you come in the low season, if you're very lucky, you may find something in the $2,000 price point, but usually you're still looking at like 25 to 3,000 US a month for a 3-bedroom home, even older style homes. Okay. And Tony says honesty is the only way. Well, yeah, my friends, like, I'm not gonna, I need to give you realistic expectations because a lot of people thinking that Mexico is cheap. And yes, maybe if you're looking for a rental in the middle of Mexico in a very Mexican town, not in an international destination that has become extremely popular in the past 2 years. Now, if someone is moving here on a long-term basis and they're literally looking to settle here, and they're planning on either driving their car from the US or Canada or buying a car here, you can get some better deals on long-term rentals in neighborhoods, exclusive residential neighborhoods like El Cielo, Selvamar. These neighborhoods are within a 10 to 15-minute drive outside of Central. You really need a car if you're going to live there. I've met people who decided to rent in El Cielo without having a car, and they did not have a good time because the cabs, especially if you don't speak Spanish, and I'm going to show you. So, for example, uh, these neighborhoods, El Cielo, Selvamar, they are kind of in the north end of Playa del Carmen. They're very beautiful neighborhoods, exclusive, tranquil, very residential, okay? But they are not going to appeal to the typical traveler that comes here for a month or two. They want to be in the heart of the action. They want to enjoy the vibrancy of Playa, all the cafes, the restaurants, want to be able to walk to the beach. So those neighborhoods really, I don't recommend them unless you are a family or even a single or a couple that is moving here. You want tranquility. I didn't put what the rents are there. It really depends. But for example, I know a family that's renting a gorgeous three-bedroom house in Salvamar, and they're paying 22, like 2,200 US a month, but it's absolutely gorgeous upscale home, very nice neighborhood. So that's a lot less than they would pay for a three-bedroom in Playa Car, for example. Um, but again, in Playa Car, you don't necessarily need to have a car if you live in Playa Car. But if you're going to be living in El Cielo or Salvamar, you do need a car. Okay. Um, and I say you don't necessarily need a car in Playa Car is because you're still more connected to civilization. You could bike, you could take a scooter. Whereas to get into these neighborhoods, El Cielo, Salvamar, you need to take the highway. Okay. Um, Perhaps more visuals would have helped. Anyway, let's talk about the non-beach side of the highway. Again, my friends, on the non-beach side of the highway, you can definitely expect to get some better rental deals, okay, regardless of the season in which you come. Now, a lot of the short-term tourist travelers, they don't want to have to cross a four-lane highway to get home or to get to the beach or to get to the pretty part of Playa. But if budget is a concern and you do want to live in Playa del Carmen, especially if you're coming here in high season and you don't want to live in a studio, on the beach side of on the non-beach side of the highway, as I put here, I don't know how much you guys can see. We have less seasonality, more long-term rentals. Generally, the owners on those sides, the owners of those properties. First of all, the inventory there primarily consists of what we call privadas, private residential neighborhoods that are exclusively residential. They have security at the front to get in. Okay, they may have some beautiful common areas, pools, and so on. Okay, the rent will depend on the neighborhood. So some popular neighborhoods, and primarily we see families living in those neighborhoods. Um, and some are more accessible by taxi versus others. So, for example, two very popular neighborhoods on the non-beach side of the highway are Selvanova and Punta Estrella. Residencial Bali is another one I could have put there. These are pretty expansive residential neighborhoods. You can see rents in Selvanova, depending on the season and depending on how nice the unit is. These are large three-bedroom apartments. You're looking at, at the low end, about 800 US a month, higher end 1250 USD a month. So again, but for that you get a large floor plan. You get a full three-bedroom unit. You get a unit that has common area pools. A lot of the what they call them koto subdivisions in Salvanova also have a clubhouse with a gym, kind of a work area. So they're nice neighborhoods, and the taxis to take you in and out of those neighborhoods are pretty affordable. We're talking like literally 50 to 70 pesos to get there. Very reasonable. Okay. Similarly, in the Punta Estrella neighborhood, you can get modern two-bedroom units in that price range, 700 to 1,000 US per month. And then again, that's about a 50 pesos cab drive, like $2.50 cab drive to Central. Sure, it's maybe inconvenient to take a cab, but if you're looking to save on rent, those are very acceptable neighborhoods. They're secure. Again, they're not exactly walkable. Well, you can walk around, but it's when you step outside, you're not surrounded by pretty cafes, and it's a different vibe out there. It's more residential, but you're a short cab drive away from the action. Okay. Ejidal is another neighborhood on the non-beach side of the highway. Ejidal, this is Ejidal right here. What we have in Ejidal are modern condo buildings that are increasingly popping up in this neighborhood, but because it is on the non-beach side of the highway, rents are more reasonable on a long-term basis. You can see what they go for. And here you can find, two-bedroom units for around 20,000, and they're modern, they're beautiful, they have rooftop pools. They may not be as luxurious as some of the downtown Playa buildings, but definitely the rents there tend to be more reasonable. And again, if you take the dollar at 20 pesos, you can kind of do the math. But for sure you can find one bedrooms for around 700 to 800, and two bedrooms in that price range, 20,000, 22,000 pesos. And then for those of you who may be really on a budget but need a larger space, so maybe you're a young family or a young couple and you really need a two-bedroom, we do have some residential neighborhoods that I named here, again on the non-beach side of the highway: Real Ibiza, Real Bilbao, Real Amalfi, Los Olivos, where you can find small two-bedroom apartments. Uh, Somebody says a rental video. I'm so excited. Thank you so much. My pleasure. Um, so as you can see, in those neighborhoods, you can find very affordable rentals. Literally, you can get a two-bedroom apartment for 500 US dollars a month. Okay. Now they are small two bedrooms. I'm not gonna lie to you. But they're comfortable. Those two bedrooms are also in private residential areas that have pools. They're not going to have gyms, but they'll have pools. They may have a kids playground, so definitely appeal to families. Now there is public transportation that goes to the other side of the highway. Depending on where of these neighborhoods you live, there are colectivos, which are small buses that for 10 pesos will take you in and out of your neighborhood. But it is not as convenient as being obviously in the walkable part of Playa. But a lot of families or people who are on a budget will make that sacrifice, at least on a short-term basis, especially if they're new to Playa and they want to live in a beach town, but what, they are coming here on a Mexican budget. Not to mention that those are neighborhoods where a lot of the local families would live. Now, local families will also live in neighborhoods like Salvanova, Punta Estrella. It really depends. We have a mix of people in all the neighborhoods. Okay. Well, my friends, that's about it. And I think I've been speaking for long enough. That's my contact info there. You can reach out to me via WhatsApp, ideally. That's my WhatsApp number. You can take a screenshot, take a picture, or via email as well. I do check my email at least once a day. WhatsApp, I do check a lot. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of the day. And I'll see you next week, my friends. Bye for now. Blessings.